This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Farming Week, the news podcast brought to you by Agriland in association with AXA Insurance. I'm Louise Hickey and I'm joined by journalist Aisling O'Brien. One of the biggest stories this week is in relation to the Nitrates Derogation. We also received some positive news from the EPA on that. Aisling, what's the latest there?
Yes, so we have confirmation that the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine is set to formally apply to the European Commission today, Thursday, for a renewal of Ireland's nitrates derogation. Of course, the derogation allows around 7,000 farmers across the country to farm at higher stocking rates, and it's currently due to expire at the start of 2026. Now, farming organisations and the wider industry as well have warned of the impact of the loss of the derogation, what that would have on our dairy sector, but on the wider farming sector as well. Now, the application follows, as you said, a new report which was released today as well from the Environmental Protection Agency, which suggests that nitrogen concentrations in selected major rivers have reduced for the first half of this year relative to other years. And according to this report, between January and June of 2024, nitrogen concentrations in waters nationally are at their lowest that they have been since 2016. Now, the agency says an analysis shows that this is likely to be representative of what happens nationally over the full year. And the EPA's early Insights Indicator report, of course, has been welcomed by farm organisations because, of course, the renewal of Ireland's nitrates derogation, Louise, is going to be absolutely hung on our water quality. And the argument for us to get a renewal of our derogation has to be, I suppose, couched in the fact that we are seeing improvements in our water quality. And this report goes some way to achieving that, hopefully. So the IFA's Director of Policy and Chief Economist Tig Buckley said that it was early days, but this data is very promising. And he said that January to June 2024 river nitrate concentrations from Ireland's major rivers are at their lowest level since 2016. And he said there are signs that the multiple measures being undertaken by farmers across the country are starting to bear fruit. Of course, Ireland is just one of 2 EU member states now benefiting from a nitrates derogation, Louise. And last week, we did report here on the podcast that the General Secretary at the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Brendan Gleeson, said that he was reasonably confident that Ireland would have a nitrates derogation after 2026. And he did point to the work that has been done technically and politically on this issue. And he said in order to secure an extension to the derogation, this country is going to have to demonstrate that we're on a pathway to improved water quality. Now, he did warn that he couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be some new conditionality applied by the European Commission and other member states if they decide to give Ireland an extension. But it is positive seeing it against the backdrop of this EPA report, this formal application going into the European Commission. Of course, the government and Charlie McConalogue did publish a Department of Agriculture official plan on the objective of retaining the derogation into 2026 in August. And of course, there was a lot of money as well dedicated to a European innovation programme, Farming for Water, about €60 million. And Brendan Gleeson urged farm bodies and industry representatives to encourage basically their members to sign up to that new project. And, that will be crucial as well because that enhances the work that farmers have been doing on the ground as well. So look, we'll keep a very close eye on it, Louise, as this develops. But that formal application due to go into the Commission today from the Department of Agriculture.
Thanks, Aisling. And in other news, another major story this week was reaction from the current stage of the Mercosur trade deal. Since we last spoke about the deal on the Farming Week, there's been a significant development where European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and her counterparts from 4 Mercosur countries finalised negotiations for the trade deal. The countries include Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay. The European Commission has since outlined the proposed timeline for reduced tariffs on imports of beef, poultry and pig meat from Mercosur countries into the EU. The EU said that as part of the deal, the EU will grant very limited access to its market to imports of agri-food products. 55% of the quota will consist of fresh or chilled meat and the remaining 45% of lower value frozen meat. According to the Commission, the overall volume represents 1.6% of total European beef production and is less than half of the current imports from Mercosur. The timeline shows that the tariff rate 7.5% quota for frozen beef exports from the Mercosur bloc to the EU will start at 7,425 tonnes. This figure will gradually increase on a yearly basis until it reaches 44,550 tonnes in year 5 and each subsequent year. The EU will allow a quota of 180,000 tonnes of poultry to be imported duty-free, which will be phased in over 5 years. The quota will be evenly split between boneless poultry meat, including poultry preparations, and bone-in poultry meat. More from the proposal can be seen on Agriland. Now, the proposal has not been signed or ratified yet. Rules dictate that 15 member states accounting for 65% of the 27 nation bloc's population must approve it. Aisling, Irish farmers have made it clear where they stand on the deal and what it will mean for beef farmers. What has the reaction been since this recent development?
Yeah, I suppose disappointed but not surprised is how I'd have to sum it up, Louise, because the mood music from Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, and the rest of the Commission, it has been very pro-Mercosur in recent months, and the writing seemed to be on the wall that we could have gotten a deal over the line in Brazil in recent weeks, but it seemed to be Uruguay that the deal was signed off on, and this political agreement was reached between Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and the European Union. As you said, though, it is only the first step in the process towards the conclusion of the agreement. We did get the agreed text this week, and you did outline some of the points there about the beef imports, the 99,000 tonnes of beef that will be coming in on a reduced tariff rate of 7.5% into the European Union. And we got details, of course, on poultry and pig meat as well, and other agricultural commodities. Now, that text is going to undergo what they call legal scrubbing, and it's going to be translated into the 24 languages of the European Union. And then after this, the text is going to go before the European Council and the European Parliament. Now, sources within the Commission say that those steps, as well as the preparation of the proposal, could take 6 to 8 months. However, the Council and the Parliament would then have to decide how long they need to discuss the matter. And, that might not be a straightforward process. Of course, Irish and other European farmers have voiced strong opposition to the Mercosur deal, which they believe will lead to cheap imports of South American commodities that do not meet European standards. And the European Commission has said that the EU has very stringent standards to protect human, animal and plant health. And it said any product sold in the EU must comply with all of these standards, which do not change at all with this agreement. And they said that products imported from Mercosur under this deal will have to respect them too. And they also said that this deal wouldn't lead to an increase in deforestation, because that deforestation regulation that is meant to come in, I think from the end of next year, will apply to Mercosur countries under this deal as well. So I suppose that there is a bilateral safeguard clause that can be applied under the deal in the case that increased imports from Mercosur cause or threaten to cause serious injury to relevant EU sectors. And look, there is as well a compensation element to this, but European Commission sources have said that situation would be almost impossible, that this safeguard clause would come in ahead of that. Now, look, there has been huge reaction to this as the government formation talks continue here at home. They have been, I suppose, this has been brought to their attention loud and clear, Louise, and Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have both said, and they've reiterated their position that the Mercosur deal is not acceptable in its current form. Sinn Féin have gone a step further. They've warned that this will be disastrous for Irish farmers, and they say there's nothing to be gained in this deal at all for the Irish agriculture sector. And they've accused Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil of talking out of both sides of their mouths when it comes to the Mercosur deal. So politics alive and well as those government formation talks continue. And of course, farm organisations across Europe mobilised this week. There was a flash action protest in Brussels on Monday, and the Irish Farmers Association President Francie Gorman was among the farm leaders who took part in that protest. And he has described the Mercosur deal as a sellout. And he did say it still needs to be ratified by the EU Council of Member States and the European Parliament. And he said that there is a distance to travel yet. And essentially, we're back to where we were in 2019 with an EU Commission agreed deal without democratic mandate. Now, there were a number of politicians at that protest as well, including Independent Ireland TD Michael Fitzmaurice and MEP Ciarán Mullooly, and they made their voices heard. We also heard this week from Luke Ming Flanagan, the Independent Irish MEP, who said that the signing of this agreement was hypocrisy on a grand scale. And the president of the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association, the ICMSA, Dennis Drennan, warned that the proposed deal would have a major impact on farming as we know it in Ireland and across the EU. And the Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association, the ICSA, described the Mercosur deal as a disgrace. The ICSA president, Sean McNamara, saying that Irish and European beef farmers are being sacrificed on the altar of global trade, while the Irish Natura and Hill Farmers Association said it was in total shock and disbelief over political agreement being reached on the Mercosur deal. John Joe Fitzgerald, the INHFA vice president, said that the proposed deal would have serious, devastating consequences for farming and rural communities, and he accused the European Commission of acting more like dictators. So an awful lot more to come on this deal, Louise. As I said, it will be going through the various hoops over in Europe, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more reaction to come and a lot more picking through the political agreement and this deal as it is proposed at the moment.
Yes, so I'm sure we'll hear plenty more reaction from farmers, lobby groups and politicians on that before the decision is made. And in other news for beef farmers this week, Aisling, the Agri-Food Regulator, announced a new development to enhance transparency in the supply chain. Can you tell us a little bit more about that development and what it'll mean?
Yes, Louise, that's correct. The Agri-Food Regulator confirmed this week that it has struck an agreement with the 4 largest beef processors in the country to publish weekly pricing information. So this information will relate to beef forequarter, beef hindquarter and 5% fat content beef minced meat in 500 gram packs. That is provided by the processors to the Department of Agriculture, that information. So the regulator said it met with representatives from ABP, Dawn Meats, Keepack and Liffey Meats in the months of August and September with a view to securing this agreement. And the regulator will aggregate the values collected from each processor to produce a single average aggregate figure for each of the forequarter, hindquarter and minced beef values. And these values will provide an indicative price for realisable value for beef at this stage of the supply chain. And as I said, it will be published weekly as well. And we have some prices for November on our website and app as well if you want to check them out. Now, the regulator currently doesn't have access to the national beef kill weighting used by the department, but it intends on providing a weighted value for each of the published prices, we've been told.
And Aisling, we also got an update on the workings of the regulator in the last year, didn't we?
Yeah, so a year into the job, the Agri-Food Regulator CEO Niamh Lenihan said that it has created a significant engagement program with stakeholders. And when it comes to unfair trading practices or UTPs, she said on-site inspections were first initiated this year, with the regulator recently making a prosecution of a meat plant operator due to a breach of UTPs. Now, the regulator has focused on engaging with businesses over how the office aims to improve transparency, and it did target the egg sector first to seek to request data impacting upon price and margins. Now, it was intended to use that data supplied as part of a report about price and market data across the egg supply chain, but that was one of the issues facing Niamh Lenihan in her first year in the job. Have a listen to this.
Moment, obviously, in terms of a constraint, has been, for the egg report, for example, some businesses have, some retail businesses decided not to provide information to the regulator. So that obviously has constrained what we would like to do, and hence the request or the recommendation from the board to the minister.
Now, Louise, as you heard there from Niamh Lenihan, the regulator has sought extra powers, to compel businesses to be forthcoming with this information and to ensure that there is transparency in the food chain. And we learned as well that it's also seeking data from the horticulture sector at the moment in order to prepare a report on that area.
Thanks, Aisling. Now, moving on from that, we already had 2 milk prices already in. Lakeland Dairies announced that it has kept its milk price at 49.6 cents per litre this month, with no change from last month. This includes the 0.5 cent per litre sustainability incentive payment. Qualifying farmers will also receive a 3 cent per litre out of season payment. In Northern Ireland, for Lakeland Dairies, a base price of 40.8 pence per litre will be paid for milk supplied in November, which is inclusive of the 0.5 pence per litre sustainability incentive payment. The Co-op has also announced a loyalty payment of 0.8 cent per litre on all milk after a challenging year. The loyalty payment will be paid on January 15th for all milk supplied in 2024. We also had milk prices in from Dairy Gold, who announced a slight increase this month by 1 cent per litre to 50 cents per litre. The November milk price equates to an average farm gate milk price of 66.8 cents per litre, based on the average November 2024 milk solids achieved by Dairy Gold milk suppliers. Now, sticking with dairy news, Aisling, there is due to be a big vote in relation to Kerry Group's dairy division next week. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, Louise, plenty more discussion and meetings this week on the proposed Kerry Dairy Ireland deal. So if you don't know by now, and if you don't listen to this podcast, I'm sure you have to know about this deal, because Kerry Co-op is proposing to buy Kerry Group's dairy business, Kerry Dairy Ireland, for €500 million. And if this proposed deal is approved by shareholders, Kerry Co-op would initially take a 70% stake in Kerry Dairy Ireland, worth €350 million, according to their valuation, with Kerry Group retaining a 30% interest. Now, the co-op would then have a call option to acquire the final 30% stake in Kerry Dairy Ireland at any time until mid-2030, and the full transfer of the business to the co-op has to be completed by 2035. Now, Kerry Dairy Ireland has 7 production facilities across Ireland and the UK. It has a range of well-known consumer brands such as Cheese Strings, Easy Singles and Lolo. The business, which has a forecasted revenue of €1.3 billion for this year, employs over 1,500 people, and it also operates 31 agri-services stores across Kerry, Limerick, Clare and North Cork. Now, if this deal goes through, Louise, it would be a significant milestone in the long story of Kerry Group and Kerry Co-op, and there are plenty of arguments on both sides of yes and no camps within Kerry Co-op, Louise, and those against the deal say that Kerry Dairy Ireland has been overvalued. They're saying that shareholders should vote no on the proposed deal, press pause and give the Co-op board a mandate to go back and renegotiate with Kerry Group, while those in favour argue that there is no better deal due to the offer in this deal of a €50 million fund from Kerry Group to resolve the long-running leading milk price dispute, an 85% tax-neutral share spin-out, and the co-op regaining control of milk processing. And you can read a lot more about those arguments on our website and our app. Now, the proposal will be subject, as you said, to a vote of Kerry Co-op A and B shareholders. That is going to be held in the INEC Arena in Killarney in County Kerry at midday on Monday, December 16th. And the proposed transaction will only proceed if the approved required majority, which is 66% of the co-op's A and B shareholders who are present at that special general meeting, vote in favour of it. There is no postal vote, so if you want to vote, you have to come along on the day. And then later next week, there will be an extraordinary general meeting of Kerry Group, which is due to take place on Thursday, December 19th, to allow Kerry Group shareholders to vote on the proposed transaction. And if, and I stress, if the deal is approved, Kerry Group has said that the first phase of this transaction is expected to be completed by the end of January 2025, but a lot to come between now and then, I expect.
Yes, Aisling, so best keep an eye on the site for updates on that next week. And in other news, it was another very busy week in terms of scheme payments. What is the latest there, Aisling?
Yeah, that's for sure, Louise. Continuing on from last week, as 2024 draws to a close, we're getting lots of information about schemes. Minister for Agriculture, Charlie McConlogue, confirmed on Tuesday of this week that balancing payments under the 2024 Eco Scheme have begun. The payments worth almost €85 million will be made to almost 110,000 farmers. Those balancing payments will bring the total paid under the 2024 Eco Scheme since October to €289 million, with 113,600 farmers now in receipt of a payment. Also this week, payments worth €4.8 million have been announced under the Straw Incorporation measure. Payments under the scheme are to provide financial support to tillage farmers to increase soil organic carbon levels by chopping and incorporating straw from cereal crops. A very, very popular scheme indeed. The rate there is €250 a hectare for oats, wheat, barley and rye, and there's a lower rate of €150 a hectare for oilseed rape straw. And in line with previous years, not all applications are currently cleared for payment under the measure, we're being told, and any payments that are cleared will be visible in farmers' bank accounts in the coming days. Switching over to TAMS, the Department of Agriculture confirmed this week that Tranche 6 of TAMS 3 will not now open until next month. They issued an update to farm advisors this week confirming that the next tranche of the scheme will now open for applications on January 9th. The department said this is to facilitate development work on the 60% grant aid rate for nutrient storage investments. And they said the closing date for Tranche 6 applications will be on March 7th, as had been previously announced. And of course, the closing date for submissions of applications under Tranche 5 of TAMS 3 fell last Friday, December 6th as well. And finally, we're going to turn our attention to Acres, a scheme that gets a lot of coverage here on the Farming Week. And we've learned this week that a total of 4,148 farmers, or 96.7% of total applicants, will be receiving confirmation today that their applications for non-productive investments, NPIs, under Acres cooperation were successful or partially successful. Those NPIs, there's a huge range of them. They include bat boxes, nest boxes for barn owls and kestrels, the erection of gates and electric fencing to prevent over and under grazing. Lots of different NPIs out there. So farmers will be getting notification this week if they are successful on their 2023 NPIs. And look, just staying with Acres very briefly, there was an Acres review meeting organised by the department this week, and the IFA said the ball is now firmly in the department's court to deliver real and substantive change, which they feel is needed to the agri-environmental scheme. And the ICMSA as well this week calling for Acres payments, which they said are already overdue under the Farmers' Charter, to be issued immediately to farmers. They said that farmers are waiting unacceptably long periods for monies that are due to them through no fault of their own at the moment. So more Acres strife for this week.
Thanks for that run through, Aisling. Now, we had a bit of a stranger story this week where ducks were seized from a farm in County Wicklow. Aisling, what do we know about that story so far?
Yeah, so we're going back to Tuesday for this story. Sean Kent is a poultry farmer based in Arklow in Wicklow, and he claimed that the Department of Agriculture seized around 700 ducks from his farm early on Tuesday morning. He said that there were not only ducks seized by the department, but a quantity of eggs as well. And he said the ducks were taken away in 2 livestock lorries. Now, he estimated that between 6,000 and 7,000 eggs were seized, and he said that eggs had been seized from the farm on a number of occasions since October of this year. Now, he also has a flock of around 650 breeding geese, but he said that these were not taken during the department operation on Tuesday. He said that the geese are used on the farm for egg production, where the eggs are hatched and the goslings are sold, and the ducks are also hatched and sold on for egg and meat production. Now, Sean Kent said that the flock of Aylesbury ducks, which were seized by the department, he says they are a national asset because he believes that it is the only flock of unvaccinated ducks in Ireland or the UK. And he was extremely upset when he spoke to Agriland about the loss of his flock. And he said that they'd been hatching geese on the farm since 1985, so nearly 40 years. And they've had ducks not for quite as long, but for over 20 years. And he said that he researches poultry and he has an international reputation in this area. Now, we did get a statement from the department on this issue, Louise, and the department confirmed that an enforcement action had taken place at a premises in County Wicklow under the Animal Health and Welfare Act 2013. And it said that as these matters relate to an ongoing investigation, the department will not be providing any further comments. So we'll be bringing you more on that story as we get it.
Okay, so definitely something we're keeping an eye on. And finally, Aisling, the live crib made its way back to Mansion House this week, and there seems to be a bit of a buzz around their city, isn't there?
Well, it's officially Christmas now, Louise, isn't it? Forget all about the toy show, because the live animal crib has returned, as you said, to Dublin city centre this week. Now, the crib first arrived in the capital back in 1995, and it really has become a huge tradition for people in Dublin and maybe people visiting the city for a day. It's an initiative between the IFA and Dublin City Council. And the IFA president, Francie Gorman, said that the crib first came as a gift from the farmers of Ireland to the people of Dublin to appreciate the support and thanks received throughout the years. And he said it also helps to bridge the gap between town and country as well, giving people the chance to see live farm animals up close. Now, the crib was launched with the Deputy Lord Mayor of Dublin, Councillor Donna Cooney, and it was also blessed as well. And the whole event was serenaded by a choir of singers from Little Angels in St. Joseph's Nursery in Dublin, who looked incredibly cute in their little outfits. And check out those pictures on our website. And they were joined as well by the Lucan Gospel Choir, and they all performed on the steps of the Mansion House to really set a real festive tone for the launch of this year's crib. Now, the main attractions, of course, are Daisy the donkey, Lily the goat, and sheep Peter and Paul. They have all reprised their starring roles from last year. They did such a good job. They have been brought back. And the animals will be brought to and from the crib each day from the Sherlock family farm in County Wicklow. And farmer Fionn Sherlock told Agriland that the crib is not only a tradition for the people of Dublin, but also very much for his family too. Have a listen.
So my grandfather John Gallagher and his brother Joe Gallagher would have started this back probably 35 years ago, heading for 40 years ago. It's in the family ever since. I've continued on the tradition with my mum and dad. Currently 28, coming in here since I'm about 8 years old. So yeah, no, it's part of the Christmas tradition, bringing the animals into the live animal crib. It's something I look forward to every year, and it's been a quick year, and we're back here again for another year at the live animal crib.
Now, so if you are in Dublin over the next week or two, you can go along to have a look. It is open every day until December 23rd from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. And it will open as well on Christmas Eve from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. So check it out if you are in Dublin city centre over the next week or two.
Now, isn't that just lovely? I was actually there myself this week, and it's definitely worth a visit to see Daisy the donkey. Now, before we go, we also got news confirmed of a new location for the National Ploughing Championships next year. The National Ploughing Association confirmed Scraggan Tullamore, County Offaly as the venue for the 2025 National Ploughing Championships, which will run from September 16th to September 18th. The ploughing was held on the same farm in 2016, 2017 and 2018, hosted by the late Joe Grogan. His wife, Lisa Flaherty Grogan, will host the 2025 event, with additional lands being made available for ploughing and parking for many neighbouring farmers. And that's all we have time for this week. Please don't forget to rate, review and follow The Farming Week wherever you get your podcast. We'd love if you could spare some time to give us 5 stars. From myself and Aisling, thanks for listening and enjoy the weekend.
This podcast is sponsored by AXA Farm Insurance. AXA offers tailored cover to fit your unique needs, whether it's public liability or protection for your family home, outbuildings or farm vehicles. Based in Athlone, the AXA Farm team of agri-specialists and regional managers work together to ensure you receive the seamless support you need. Switching to AXA is easy thanks to an innovative online service that enables you to quickly and easily find the best cover for your needs. For more information, head to AXA.ie. AXA Insurance Stack is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.